When my wife came in, I was huddled on the sofa reading the criminal code. In my previous life, Teacher Chen Higo was right. When learning the Mad Dog Fist, you don't start with the fist. You start with criminal law. If you don't fully understand the law, you'll lack confidence when fighting, and you might end up getting yourself thrown in jail. Behind Lu Ruyan followed that little puppy, Ito Makoto. Bringing someone home this late, without even lifting my eyelids. I kept flipping through my criminal law textbook. Lu Ruyan glanced at me, frowned slightly, but said nothing and headed straight upstairs. Ito Makoto followed behind, flashing me a sinister smile as he passed through the living room. The smile was clearly spelling out 4 words. "You're done for." I sneered inwardly while keeping a straight face. Sure enough, Lu Ruyan went upstairs to fetch some documents, and Ito Makoto didn't follow her. He deliberately lingered in the living room. He walked up to me, then suddenly sat down on the ground, striking a pose as if he had been pushed over. "Chen Feng, what are you doing?" He screamed in such an exaggerated way, his voice so loud it seemed to want the whole street to hear. I put down my criminal law book and watched his performance with interest. "Bro, your acting is so over the top that even the extras in Hong Kong would find it exaggerated." The sound of hurried high heels came from upstairs. Lu Ruyan rushed downstairs with a document in her hand, just in time to see Ito Makoto sitting on the ground with a pitiful expression. "Ruyan Jia, I just wanted to say hi to Brother Chen Feng." And he pushed me. Ito Makoto's eyes turned red, his voice trembling. Textbook-level green tea performance. I clapped, genuinely and wholeheartedly. "Beautiful. This acting. Oscar owes you a little golden statue." Lu Ruyan's face was as dark as the sky before a storm. She slammed the documents in her hand onto the coffee table, strode quickly toward me, and raised her hand to slap me. Slap. The sound was sharp and crisp. I didn't even turn my face, because before her slap could land, my fist was already coiled and ready. The first principle of Mad Dog Fist: never strike first, but never strike last. You hit me, I retaliate instantly without a second's delay. Bang. My right fist landed squarely on Lu Ruyan's face. I held back on this punch, using only 3/10 of my strength. But even 3/10 of the Mad Dog Fist was enough to devastate a woman who had never been hit before. Lu Ruyan was completely stunned, staggering backwards several steps before collapsing onto the ground. Clutching her face, tears instantly streamed down as a visible ring of blue-black bruising swelled around her eyes. Her entire body trembled, not from pain, but from sheer rage and shock. She probably never imagined in her wildest dreams that anyone would dare to hit her. I crouched down, looking down at her with a tone as casual as if we were discussing what to eat. "Today, Lu Ruyan, that slap you gave me was intentional harm. The punch I'm returning is self-defense. According to Article 20 of the Criminal Law, defensive actions taken against ongoing violent acts that result in injury or death to the unlawful aggressor constitute justifiable defense and do not bear criminal responsibility." Have you gone mad?" Lu Ruyan covered her face, her voice sharp and trembling. "I'm not crazy. I'm perfectly clear." I stood up and took out my phone, snapping a photo of the palm print on my face. "Got the evidence. You started it first." Ito Makoto got up from the ground, rushing to Lu Ruyan's side with a look of shock and concern. Helping her up. "Senior Ruyan, are you okay?" "Chen Feng, how could you hit someone? How can a grown man hit a woman?" He glared at me with righteous indignation, his acting skills kicking in once again. I smiled, genuinely and sincerely. "Are you feeling sorry for him?" I walked up to Ito Makoto with my chest puffed out, looking down at him from above. This guy is just over 1.7 meters tall, while I'm 1.85 meters. Standing in front of him, he has to tilt his head up to look at me. "Go ahead. Hit me. Take revenge for your CEO." Ito Makoto gritted his teeth and pushed hard against my chest with both hands, trying to shove me away. Just that one move. In criminal law, this is called shoving behavior, which falls under the category of minor violence. However, as long as it is violence, no matter how slight, it triggers the conditions for justifiable defense. My right leg shot out like a spring, a groin kick taught personally by Master Chen Hegao, one of the 3 deadly moves of Mad Dog Fist in actual combat, specifically targeting the most vulnerable part of the human body, with immediate and visible striking effects. Ow! Ito Makoto let out an inhuman scream, curling up on the ground like a boiled shrimp. He pushed me, trying to knock me down. I panicked and kicked him. Everyone saw it. He started it first. I just fought back. Lu Ruian clutched her bruised and swollen eye, staring at me with shock, anger, and fear. Her lips trembled for a long time, but not a single word came out. I pulled 2 tissues from the coffee table and slowly wiped the dust off my fist. What are you looking at? Get lost. Lu Ruian gritted her teeth and struggled to her feet, abandoning the documents, supporting Ito Makoto, who was still rolling on the ground in pain. She limped toward the door. As she reached the doorway, she paused and turned back to glare at me. Her beautiful eyes were filled with venomous hatred. Chen Feng, you'll regret this. Regret. I laughed. The only thing I regret in this life is marrying a woman like you who can't tell right from wrong. The door slammed shut. The villa fell silent again. I sat back down on the sofa, picked up the criminal law book, flipped to Article 20, and silently read it once more. Then I retrieved the hidden camera I had bought earlier from under the coffee table and checked the footage it had just recorded. The clarity was excellent, with no blind spots. Lu Ruian's first slap, Ito Makoto's fake fall to frame me, his act of pushing me, all crystal clear. The chain of evidence was complete. The law was on my side. I closed the criminal law book, leaned back on the sofa, and closed my eyes. It had been almost a month since I transmigrated into this damn novel. The original host endured 3 years of humiliation, getting slapped around and swallowing insults, for 3 whole years. In the end, Lu Ruian and Ito Makoto teamed up to send him to prison, where he committed suicide. The ending was utterly miserable, but things were different now. Mad Dog Fist Chen Feng was officially online. Early the next morning, I went to Lu Ruian's company with a hidden camera pinned to my chest and a pair of scissors in my pocket. Why did I bring the scissors? Because Lu Ruian's office had a photo of her and Ito Makoto hanging up. I wanted to cut it into pieces. This was a marital dispute. You cheat and keep a young lover. I vent my anger by cutting up your couple photo. Perfectly reasonable. The elevator doors opened and the receptionist's face instantly changed when she saw me. Mr. Chun. Yes, I'm here to see my wife. I strode confidently inside. Mr. Chen, you can't go in there. President Lu said you're not allowed in the company without her permission. The receptionist girl jogged after me, but her voice attracted a more troublesome figure. Security Captain Lin Fan. He'd had a crush on Lu Ruian for a long time. That's how it was written in the original story. He had always looked down upon the original host as an incompetent husband and often made life difficult for him. Chen Feng, stop right there. Lin Fan extended his arm to block my way, his tone as if shooing a stray dog. President Lu has ordered that you're not allowed into the company. Please cooperate, or I won't be polite. I stopped and looked at him. I'm Lu Ruian's husband, and I also hold shares in the company. You think I can't enter just because you say so? I only listened to Director Lu. Lin Fan didn't back down, taking a step forward with his tall frame. If you don't leave now, don't blame me. He didn't finish his sentence, because he raised his hand and pushed me once on my shoulder with enough force to make me take a step back. In criminal law, Article 20's definition of the term, shoving, is quite clear. It marks the beginning of a violent act. I pushed off with my right foot, my body compressing like a spring, then suddenly launched forward. My right fist rotated from my waist, palm facing forward, unleashing all its power in an instant, striking Lin Fan's face with precision. Crack. The sound of the nasal bone breaking was crisp, like snapping a chopstick. Lin Fan's 200-pound body crashed to the ground, blood gushing from his nose, his entire face instantly covered in blood. He clutched his nose with both hands, rolling on the ground in agony, letting out incoherent screams. I shook the blood off my fist, expressionless. That was the style of the Mad Dog Fist. No words, no warning, no time for you to react. You hit me once. I strike back instantly. A single punch decides the outcome, and this punch of mine was absolutely within the bounds of self-defense. He moved first. I responded afterward. His push was an act of violence, and my punch in return was self-defense. No follow-up, no extra hits, just that one. The hallway erupted in chaos, with the receptionist screaming in fright. Several passing employees turned pale and stepped back in fear. Just then, the elevator doors opened again. Lu Ruian and Ito Makoto stepped out of the elevator. Both of them looked quite remarkable. Lu Ruian had a dark purple bruise around her left eye, and her eyelid was swollen so much that makeup couldn't cover it. Ito Makoto walked with a strange gait. His legs splayed outward like a duck's. They had just returned from the hospital, and they saw the scene in the hallway. Lin Fan lying on the ground, his face covered in blood. His nose bridge collapsed. A horrifying sight. I stood to the side, blood still dripping from my fist. Lu Ruian's expression shifted from shock to fear, then from fear to anger. Chen Feng, are you insane? How dare you hit someone in my company? He threw the first punch. I said calmly, pull up the surveillance footage. He pushed me first. Lu Ruian was furious, but she didn't dare charge at me. Yesterday's punch had taught her something. Maybe she was stubborn, but her body learned faster than her mind. She screamed, took off her high heels, and hurled them at me from a distance. The shoes flew toward me, and I dodged by turning my head. Then I smiled. Hey, you hit me. I casually grabbed a large vase from the hallway flower pot stand. It was blue and white porcelain. Looked pretty expensive. Chen Feng, you dare. Lu Ruian hadn't finished speaking when the vase flew through the air. Bang. The vase smashed into Lu Ruian, shattering into pieces on the ground. She was knocked backward, her head striking the wall, blood streaming down her forehead. Her white shirt was covered with cuts from shattered porcelain, blood mingling with the shards. A horrifying sight. Lu Ruian clutched her head, blood seeping through her fingers. Her gaze completely changed, no longer filled with hatred, no longer with anger. Only fear remained, pure, soul-deep terror. She finally realized that the man she married had changed, transformed into a complete madman who defied all logic. When Ito Makoto saw Lu Ruian covered in blood, he froze for a moment before letting out a piercing scream. Help, he's attacking. Murder. Security. Security. The remaining security guards rushed over from the end of the hallway. 5 in total. Ito Makoto hid behind the guards, pointing at me and shouting, "Arrest him. Take him to the police station." 5 security guards looked at each other in confusion, then finally gathered around me, bracing themselves. I reached into my pocket with my left hand and pulled out the scissors. With a click, I flipped them open in my palm. The blade pointed outward, tightly clenched. The second deadliest technique of Mad Dog Fist. The everyday tool style. Wrenches, screwdrivers, scissors, keys. The most common tools in daily life are all excellent weapons. I brought this pair of scissors from home. What were they for? To cut photos. As for why they were kept in my pocket, that's how I always carry them. It's just my daily habit. As for using them to stab someone, that was out of desperation. That was self-defense. Don't come any closer. I took 2 steps back, leaning against the wall, my voice trembling just enough. Don't come any closer. I'm scared. I'm warning you. Anyone who comes near, I'll stab them. I'm not joking. I really will stab. The lead security guard swallowed hard and charged at me with his rubber baton. He swung the baton at my arm. I only needed one move. The scissors thrust forward, striking right in the chest. Poof! Blood splattered. The security guard screamed and fell down, his chest a crimson mess. The second guard charged forward. The third one. The fourth one's legs gave out, and he turned to run, but I caught up and stabbed him in the buttocks. All 4 security guards fell to the ground one after another. The corridor filled with screams and the smell of blood. The 5th guard didn't even fight, his legs trembling like a sieve, his rubber baton clattering to the floor as he turned and fled. Ito Makoto was dumbfounded. He looked at the security guards lying haphazardly on the ground, at the blood covering the floor, at the blood-dripping scissors in my hand. His face drained of all color. He couldn't figure it out even if he racked his brains. How did a good-for-nothing who had been useless for 3 years suddenly turn into a madman? Oh, the sound of sirens grew louder, coming closer. Ito Makoto's face showed a smug expression. He thought he had won. Chinfeng, you're finished. You're really finished this time. He gritted his teeth. So many witnesses and evidence. Just wait for your prison sentence. I said nothing, obediently placing the scissors on the ground and crouching down with my hands on my head. The police arrived. The scene was in chaos. 6 people lay on the ground, blood covering the entire hallway. When I was taken into the police car, Ito Makoto was supporting Lu Ruian, whose face was covered in blood, and he smiled triumphantly at me. In the interrogation room, the police pulled up the surveillance footage. The hidden camera on my chest also recorded everything. Security Chief Lin Fan pushed me forward, and I retaliated with a punch. Lu Ruian hit me with her high heels, and I hit her back with a vase. 5 security guards surrounded me, and I defended myself with scissors. Each punch, each knife strike, was delivered only once. No pursuit, no finishing blow, no unnecessary moves. Then came the crucial part. When I was taken into the interrogation room, I curled up in the chair, trembling all over, tears streaming down my face. Uncle Police, I'm so scared. There were so many people beating me alone. I'm almost scared to death. Sob, sob, sob. I was so scared at the time. I didn't even know what I was doing. It was just instinctive self-defense. I was really terrified. I was crying so hard I could barely catch my breath, my voice trembling. The police officer across from me looked at me with a somewhat complicated expression. He probably found it unbelievable, this crying, cowardly wimp. How did he manage to beat 6 people into submission? But he had to admit, legally speaking, I had done nothing wrong. First, I was Lu Ruian's legal husband, and I held a nominal position as an investment advisor at the company. My presence there was perfectly reasonable. Second, I brought the scissors to cut up the photo of Lu Ruian and Ito Makoto. This was a domestic dispute between spouses and did not constitute intentional harm. Third, in all instances where I was accused of violence, the other party initiated the physical confrontation. Fourth, my act of self-defense met the legal criteria in terms of timing and intensity without exceeding the necessary limits. That very night, I was released. As I stepped out of the police station gate, the night breeze blew, and I took a deep breath. The taste of freedom, so exhilarating. By the time I returned to the villa, it was already past 10 o'clock at night. The villa's lights were still on, and the sound of a TV came from the living room. The moment I pushed open the door, the voices stopped. Lu Ruian sat on the sofa, her head wrapped in gauze, her face covered with bandages, looking as if she had just crawled out of a car accident. Her left eye socket was still bruised. That was from the punch I threw. When she saw me enter, her body visibly stiffened. Not out of fear. It was a subconscious stress response. This woman's body had already remembered the consequences of opposing me, but her gaze remained hard, venomous, like a needle dipped in poison. Do you even have the face to come back? She said through gritted teeth, her voice sharp and shrill. Lin Fan's nose bridge is broken. 3 security guards are still lying in the hospital. And you just cried a bit at the police station and walked out. Chinfeng, are you even human? I changed into slippers and leisurely walked into the living room, plopping myself onto the sofa across from her. I crossed my legs. Guess what? The surveillance footage captured it all. Your security captain, Lin Fan, was the one who pushed me first. That push of his had quite some force behind it. Sent me stumbling back 2 steps. If I hadn't fought back, his next move would have been to punch me. He pushed you. He didn't hit you. Under criminal law, pushing constitutes an act of violence. I took out my phone, pulled up a screenshot of Article 20 of the criminal law, and shoved the screen in her face. See for yourself. Defensive actions against ongoing unlawful infringement that cause harm do not incur criminal liability. He pushed me. Does that count as unlawful assault? I just threw 1 punch back. Purely self-defense. Crystal clear. Lu Ruian's chest heaved violently with anger, the collar of her newly changed loungewear stretching open. She stared at me fiercely, her lips trembling for a long moment before squeezing out 2 words. Pervert. Aren't you perverted? I tilted my head to look at her. When your husband comes home, don't you ask if he's eaten, if he's cold, or if he's scared. All you do is open your mouth to scold and close it to criticize. Lou Ruyan, in the 3 years you've been married to me, has there ever been a day when you treated me as your husband? You're not worthy. I'm not worthy. I laughed. A cold laugh. Then is that little puppy of yours worthy? Is Ito Makoto worthy? What is he worthy of? Worthy of cooking porridge for you or warming your bed? There was a sound from the kitchen, the light clink of porcelain, followed by footsteps. Ito Makoto emerged from the kitchen. He was wearing a pink apron with a cartoon kitten printed on it, looking as virtuous as a newlywed young wife. He held a white porcelain bowl in his hands, filled with freshly cooked century egg and lean pork congee. The congee was steaming hot, and the aroma wafting over was quite pleasant. This guy was also covered in injuries. His walking posture was still a bit odd, with his legs splayed outward like a penguin. Seems my groin kick wasn't light. He must have a tough constitution to be walking around so soon. When he saw me, his expression instantly shifted to one of grievance mixed with restraint, a complex look of suppressed stubbornness. Brother Chin Fong, you're back. His voice was soft, as if afraid of disturbing something. Sister Ruyan hasn't had dinner yet. I made some porridge for her. Would you like a bowl, too? How thoughtful, how gentle, how disgusting. Lou Ruyan saw Ito Makoto walking out with a bowl of porridge, and her expression instantly changed from resentment toward me to heartache and guilt for Ito Makoto. Shaochin, your injuries haven't healed yet. Why are you making porridge for me? It's all right, Sister Ruyan. I'll be fine after resting for a couple of days. Ito Makoto walked over with the porridge, his gaze sweeping over me. That glance was fleeting, but I saw it clearly. What's hidden inside is called. Just you wait. I'm waiting. I was planning to go back to my room to sleep and didn't want to argue with him. After all, I just got out of the police station, still carrying its scent, and wanted to take a shower to relax. But Ito Makoto didn't think so. He carried the porridge to Lou Ruyan, bent down, and placed the bowl on the coffee table. As he set the bowl down, his body was so close to me that I could smell his cologne. Then he straightened up and turned to leave. At the very moment he turned around, his foot accidentally caught on the coffee table leg, causing him to stumble. The bowl of porridge in his hand flew out uncontrollably. The white porcelain bowl traced an arc through the air. Scalding porridge splashed toward my direction. In that instant, time seemed to slow down. I could see it clearly. The direction Ito Makoto fell, the angle at which the porridge spilled, and the trajectory of the bowl hitting the ground, all precisely aimed at my face. He did it on purpose. That son of a bitch wanted to disfigure me with scalding hot porridge. Spilling porridge on someone's face can cause severe burns and scarring at best, and disfigurement or blindness at worst. This was no ordinary injury. It fell under the category of causing severe injury through particularly cruel means in criminal law. I turned my head to the side and the scalding porridge brushed past my ear, landing on my shoulder and arm, making my skin flinch from the heat. But I couldn't afford to care about the pain, because my right hand was already reaching toward the coffee table. There was something there, a cross-headed screwdriver with a metal handle and a pointed tip. The previous owner had left it there while fixing the bookshelf, and I never bothered to put it away. It happened to be part of my everyday toolkit as a family man. It's only natural to tighten whatever comes loose around the house. The moment my fingers touched the screwdriver, something inside me was activated. The essence of Mad Dog Fist isn't in the fists, but in reaction speed. The faster you react to danger, the more effective your counterattack will be. No need to think. No need to hesitate. Your body moves before your mind does. I gripped the screwdriver, its tip pointing forward, holding it like a dagger with the blade reversed in my palm. Then I struck. Just one stab, straight into Ito Makoto's heart. The metal pierced through the fabric, through the skin, through the gap between the ribs, straight into the heart. Ito Makoto's eyes widened in shock. He looked down at the screwdriver embedded in his chest, completely bewildered. His mouth opened, wanting to say something. You. A single word. Then his body began to tremble, leaning forward like a tree being chopped down. Thud. Ito Makoto collapsed to his knees. Not the slow-motion dramatic kind of kneeling, but the real deal, the kind where bones hit the floor. Huff, huff. A strange sound escaped from his throat, as if he was trying to inhale but couldn't, or attempting to scream but no sound came out. His eyes remained wide open, his pupils beginning to dilate. The color drained from his face at a visible rate, turning from red to white, then from white to gray. He looked at me, his lips quivered, yet no words came out. The entire process took no more than 3 seconds. The living room fell silent for half a second. Then Lu Ruian's scream erupted. Ah! The sound was so sharp it could shatter glass. She sprang up from the couch, hands covering her face, shrinking back into the corner, her entire body trembling violently. Xiaochen, Xiaochen, you, Chen Feng, what have you done? Did you kill him? You killed him. Her voice was shrill and quivering, as if a fishbone were stuck in her throat. I didn't speak. I looked down at my right hand. Blood, warm blood, was smeared on my fingers, trickling down between them. Then I looked at Ito Makoto kneeling on the ground. His body was already trembling, not from fear, but from the physiological spasms caused by excessive blood loss. His lips had turned a bluish purple, his eyes half closed, his entire being like a withering plant. He's dead. Lu Ruian's voice fragmented into broken sobs. You killed someone. Chen Feng, you killed someone. Not dead yet. I crouched down, leaning closer to Ito Makoto's face. His eyes could still move, and there was still a glimmer of light in his pupils. He looked at me, his eyes filled with resentment, fear, and disbelief. Still alive. I spoke calmly, my voice quiet but loud enough for him to hear. But not for long. Ito Makoto's mouth opened slightly, emitting a muffled sound from his throat. I couldn't hear what he said, nor did I want to know. Ito Makoto, you threw scalding hot porridge at me, trying to ruin my face. I looked at him and spoke, each word deliberate. This is serious harm. Stabbing you was self-defense. Also a counterattack in self-defense. So I bear no criminal responsibility. His gaze completely scattered. Oh, the sound of police sirens. Not far. Very close. I didn't know if it was the neighbor who called the police or Lu Ruian who pressed the alarm. But it didn't matter. I stood up, raised my hands above my head, slowly walked to the door, and lay face down on the ground. This was the final lesson of the Mad Dog Fist. After hitting someone, immediately surrender, cooperate with law enforcement, and strive for leniency. The police car arrived, its red and blue lights flashing, casting the living room into alternating shadows and light. When the officers burst in, they saw a man covered in blood obediently lying on the floor, a woman cowering in the corner of the sofa too terrified to speak, and a young man lying in a pool of blood with a screwdriver plunged into his chest. Don't move. Hands on your head. Get down. I didn't move, officer. I didn't move. My voice was trembling, and tears suddenly streamed down my face. I'm so scared. So scared. He's going to kill me. He threw scalding porridge at me. I'm terrified. I was handcuffed and taken into the police car. Through the car window, I saw Lu Ruian slumped on the steps, covered in blood, her eyes blank, muttering something continuously. An ambulance arrived, and several medical staff rushed into the villa carrying a stretcher. After a while, they carried Ito Makoto out. The pink apron was soaked in blood, and the cartoon cat had turned into a blurred red mass. As the stretcher was loaded into the ambulance, I saw Ito Makoto's hand hanging out, his fingers still twitching slightly. The police car started moving. I sat in the back, handcuffs cold against my wrists, the areas on my shoulders and arms burning from the hot porridge. But the corner of my mouth twitched slightly upward before quickly being suppressed again. Ito Makoto, the main antagonist in the original story who caused the protagonist's demise using schemes and deceit, employing manipulative acting skills, step by step driving the protagonist into a dead end. Now, what? A screwdriver was stuck in his chest. Life or death uncertain. This was what you called karma. The fluorescent light in the interrogation room was glaringly bright. I sat in the chair, my handcuffs already removed, a cup of warm water placed in front of me. Tears still streaked my face, my eyes red and puffy. I huddled in the chair, looking small, pitiful, and helpless. Two police officers sat opposite me. They stared at me for a long time. Chen Feng. Officer Wang spoke first, his voice calm and unhurried. "Tell me, what happened tonight?" Tears welled up in my eyes again. "I don't know. I'm really scared. Take it easy. Take your time." Officer Wang pushed a box of tissues toward me. I took two, wiped away my tears and snot, took a deep breath, and began to speak haltingly. I came back from the police station. Yes, about that case earlier. I just got home, wanted to rest. I saw my wife sitting on the sofa, her head still wrapped in bandages. I tried to talk to her, but she ignored me. Then what happened? That Ito Makoto. He's my wife's assistant. He came out of the kitchen carrying a bowl of porridge. I was about to go back to my room. Didn't want to talk to him. What did he do? He threw the porridge in my face. My voice suddenly rose, trembling with tears. So hot. The porridge is so hot. He did it on purpose. He wants to ruin my face. Uncle Police. I'm so scared. If that porridge gets in my eyes, I'll go blind. Officer Lee frowned. Did he splash you on purpose? Are you sure? Sure, I'm sure. I nodded frantically. He didn't fall by accident. He deliberately tripped and then splashed it at me. I saw it. I saw it clearly. Then you took a screwdriver and stabbed him. I didn't take it. Tears welled up in my eyes again. The screwdriver was on the coffee table. I left it there after fixing the bookshelf earlier. Didn't have time to put it away. I was so scared. I don't know what I did. Someone poured hot porridge on me. I thought he was going to kill me. I just instinctively grabbed something to block it. Blocked it. You stabbed him in the chest. I don't know. I really don't know. My mind went completely blank. I was just scared. I was so scared. I covered my face and began to cry. The sobs were not loud, but they were sincere enough, aggrieved enough, convincing enough to make one believe I was truly terrified. Officer Wang and Officer Lee exchanged a glance. Surveillance footage. I've already sent someone to check it. What's the hospital's feedback? Waiting. The interrogation room fell silent, leaving only the sound of my low sobs. I cried my heart out because I knew there was nothing wrong with me. The surveillance in the villa would capture everything. Ito Makoto's accidental stumble, the direction and angle of the spilled porridge, the fact that the screwdriver was left on the coffee table, and that I only struck once from beginning to end. No second strike, no pursuing blow. This was crucial. If I had stabbed twice, it would have been excessive defense. If I had stabbed once and then continued beating him, it would be intentional injury. But I only struck once. Believe it or not, it was just instinctive reaction. Legally speaking, this strike fell within the scope of self-defense, a defensive act taken against an ongoing violent crime that endangered personal safety, resulting in injury or death to the unlawful aggressor, which did not incur criminal liability. Ito Makoto splashed scalding hot porridge on me with the intent to disfigure, which fell under violent crimes that seriously endangered personal safety, as stipulated in Article 20, Paragraph 3 of the criminal law. Stabbing him once was completely legal. About an hour later, Officer Wang pushed the door open and entered. His expression was somewhat complicated. "Chen Feng, here." I quickly stood up, standing straight, tears still on my face. Ito Makoto's situation has come out. My heart skipped a beat, but my expression remained one of fear and anxiety. Penetrating chest wound, heart pierced, massive bleeding, resuscitation failed, deceased. I silently repeated those two words in my mind. Ito Makoto, dead, clean and thorough. There are no mirrors in the police station, so I couldn't see my own expression. But I knew at that moment the corners of my mouth must have been curling upward. But I held it back. Instead, there was even more intense crying. Dead. He's dead. My legs gave way, and I collapsed onto the chair. I didn't mean to. I really didn't mean to. I was just too scared. Covered my face. my shoulders shaking violently. Officer Wang sighed and patted my shoulder. All right, stop crying. The forensic report hasn't come out yet. But don't worry. If everything is as you said, the law will give you a fair outcome. Thank you, police uncle. Thank you. I was crying so hard I could barely catch my breath. I'm so miserable. My wife is keeping a gigolo, and that gigolo even threw hot porridge at me. What did I ever do to deserve this? Woo-woo. Officer Wang's lips twitched, but he remained silent. For the next half-month, I stayed quietly in the detention center. I woke up at 6 every morning and went to bed at 9 in the evening. In between, I reviewed criminal law, studied regulations, and reinforced the theoretical foundation of the Mad Dog Fist. During this period, the investigating officers interrogated me multiple times, each time presenting new evidence. The surveillance footage from the villa, the investigation into Ito Makoto's social connections, Lu Ruian's testimony, and the forensic autopsy report. The surveillance footage clearly captured the entire incident. Ito Makoto walked over holding a bowl of porridge, accidentally tripped, and the bowl flew out, splashing directly toward my face. I dodged to the side and, in passing, grabbed a screwdriver from the coffee table, stabbing out with it. The entire process took less than 2 seconds. There was no premeditation, no preparation. It was purely an instinctive reaction. Lu Ruian's testimony was quite interesting. Initially, she accused me of intentional homicide, but her lawyer warned her that if she insisted on sticking to that statement, the police would investigate the entire incident involving Ito Makoto pushing and spilling porridge on me, including the fact that that month she had been seen frequently with Ito Makoto at the company, photographed by colleagues working overtime together alone. Once these things were verified, it would confirm Lu Ruian's infidelity during marriage. She was well aware of the consequences a married CEO would face during property division, so she changed her testimony from intentional homicide to an accident. I was terrified at the time, she said to the police, her voice very soft. Ito Makoto, he might have done it unintentionally. Chun Fong also didn't mean to. It was all an accident. The look in her eyes still held hatred. But more than that, there was fear. She finally realized that the man she had married was not just a madman. He was a madman who understood the law. Half a month later, the case was closed. The conclusions of the police and the prosecutor's office were consistent. Chun Feng's actions constituted justifiable defense, and he bore no criminal responsibility. The day the decision came down, I walked out of the detention center. The sunlight was brilliant. The taste of freedom was even more fragrant than the chili oil in wonton soup. A black Mercedes-Benz was parked at the entrance. The car window rolled down, revealing Lu Ruian sitting in the driver's seat. The wounds on her face were almost completely healed, but beneath her eyes remained faint dark circles that makeup couldn't conceal. She looked at me with a complicated gaze. Hatred, fear, resentment, helplessness. Get in the car. She spoke coldly, her voice devoid of inflection. I opened the passenger door, got in, and fastened my seatbelt. What about Ito Makoto's family? Arrived, caused a scene, paid up, and left. Lu Ruian's tone sounded like she was reading off a financial report. 2 million. His parents signed the settlement letter. 2 million. I laughed. Pretty cheap. Lu Ruian suddenly turned her head to look at me, her eyes red and swollen. You killed someone. Do you realize that? You killed someone with your own hands. How can you say it so lightly? When he splashed scalding hot porridge at me, he didn't consider what would happen if I were disfigured. He only meant to splash you, not to kill you. Of course he didn't intend to kill me. He wanted me to live a fate worse than death. I gazed at the scenery outside the car window, my tone calm. Lu Ruian, have you ever considered what I would look like now if that bowl of porridge had been splashed on my face? My eyes might go blind, my face might rot, and I'll be seen as a monster wherever I go for the rest of my life. Do you think you'd still want me then? You wouldn't. You'd make me leave with nothing, then fly off together with your Ito Makoto. I wouldn't. You would. I cut her off, turning my head to look at her profile. Every second in your mind is spent thinking about how to kick me out of your life. Lu Ruian bit her lip and remained silent. The car started, pulling out of the detention center's parking lot and merging into the traffic. Back at the villa, Lu Ruian indeed took out a document. A divorce agreement. Leave with nothing. Her voice was as cold as ice. Sign it and we're even. I picked up the divorce agreement, flipped through it, and laughed. Lu Ruian, do you think spending half a month in detention has made me lose my mind? I tore the divorce agreement in half and tossed it aside. We didn't sign a prenuptial agreement. The company was built from scratch by both of us. Every penny you've earned, half of it is mine, especially since you're the one at fault. Getting all ambiguous with that young pup. Talking to me about leaving with nothing. I leaned back in my seat, eyes closed, the corners of my mouth curling upward. Either we don't get divorced, or you give me 70% of the assets. Your choice. Lu Ruian's fingers clenched tightly, her knuckles turning white. Chen Feng, what do you really want? What do I want? I smiled. I want you to remember one thing. What? You are Chun Feng's woman. Lu Ruian's body trembled slightly. I reached out and pinched her chin, turning her face toward me. Her eyes were brimming with tears, but they didn't fall. I won't divorce you, Lu Ruian. In this lifetime. Alive you're mine, dead you're my ghost. You're insane. Yes, I'm crazy. I released her chin, looking into her tear-filled eyes. But you're the crazy man's wife. Accept your fate. With negotiations broken, Lu Ruian tried to avoid me and hid in the guest bedroom. I laughed. The lock in the guest bedroom was broken. She probably didn't know. I followed her upstairs, waited 3 seconds outside the guest room door, then pushed it open and entered. Lu Ruian had just sat down on the bed when she saw me come in. Her pupils instantly contracted. Her voice trembled. What are you doing in here? Get out. This is my house. I can go to any room I want. I closed the door and locked it. A crisp click. Lu Ruian's face turned completely pale. She curled up in the corner of the bed, grabbing a pillow to shield herself. Chen Feng, don't come near me. If you touch me, I'll call the police. Go ahead and call. I slowly unbuttoned my shirt. If the police come, I'll just say we're a married couple having a fight. What happens between husband and wife is none of their business, right? It's all consensual. Lu Ruian bit her lip, trembling all over. I walked to the bed, yanked the pillow from her hands, leaned down, and whispered in her ear, my voice barely audible. Don't make me use my fists again. Lu Ruian's eyes were red, tears silently streaming down her face. But she didn't struggle, letting me do as I pleased. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the gap in the curtains, falling on Lu Ruian's face. She was curled up in my arms, sleeping like a baby, her long, curled eyelashes resting on her cheeks, the tear stains on her face already dried. I had to admit, this woman was truly beautiful. 99 points, no exaggeration at all. But she was also genuinely foolish. She was completely infatuated by a manipulative man, couldn't tell right from wrong, and even turned against her husband of 3 years. This kind of woman needed to be taught a lesson. Without a beating, she wouldn't understand. Lu Ruian's phone suddenly rang. The sound of the vibration woke her up. She opened her eyes drowsily, realizing she was curled up in my arms, and stiffened for a moment. She didn't push me away. That surprised me a little, but soon I understood why. She picked up her phone, glanced at the caller ID, and her expression instantly changed from drowsy to energetic, from energetic to radiant, with the corners of her mouth unconsciously curling up. Hello, Boda. I squinted my eyes. Chen Boda. The surname had been modified due to force majeure. Those who knew would understand. Lu Ruian's White Moonlight, the biggest villain in the original story. The man Lu Ruian had a crush on since her student days. Returning from studying abroad, he was wealthy and charming. Forever the red dot on Lu Ruian's heart. You're back in the country. Really? That's wonderful. All right. I'll go pick you up at the airport right now. Lu Ruian hung up the phone, flipped over, and got up immediately, completely forgetting that she had just been in my arms. She ran barefoot into the closet, rummaging through drawers and clothes, comparing one dress after another. Her face lit up with the smile of a girl in love. I leaned against the headboard, lit a cigarette, and slowly smoked. 3 years. It had been 3 years since she married the original owner. Yet she had never shown such an expression before in front of me. She always wore that icy CEO face, and in front of Chen Boda, she instantly turned into a teenage girl. Interesting. Really interesting. I extinguished the cigarette, got out of bed, and put on my hard leather-pointed shoes. The shoe tips were sharp as awls, the soles hard as iron plates. One kick from them packed the destructive power of a battering ram. "Are you going to the airport?" I asked. Lu Ruian was holding up a floral dress in front of the mirror without turning her head. "None of your business. I'll drive you." Lu Ruian finally turned to look at me, her eyes filled with vigilance and disgust. "Not necessary. You're my wife. It's only natural for me to send you." I tied my shoelaces, stood up, and took a few steps, the soles of my shoes making dull sounds on the floor. Lu Ruian's expression shifted repeatedly. But she couldn't refuse me because I was right. I was her husband. It was only natural for me to see her off. The airport terminal was crowded with people. Lu Ruian stood at the arrival gate, holding a bouquet of flowers, a smile on her face, one I had never seen before. I stood beside her, hands in my pockets, expressionless. Passengers from international flights began to emerge one by one. Then I saw Chen Boda, about 8 meters tall, dressed in a suit, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, fair-skinned, with delicate features, like an idol star. He dragged his suitcase out, his gaze sweeping through the crowd before precisely locking onto Lu Ruian. A warm smile spread across his face as he opened his arms. "Ruian." Lu Ruian was drawn to him like a magnet, clutching the flowers as she rushed forward, her eyes even turning slightly red. "Boda." The distance between the two grew ever closer. Chen Boda's arms were already open, and Lu Ruian stepped forward to meet him, just as their bodies were about to touch. I moved. I reached out and grabbed Lu Ruian's wrist, yanked it hard, and flung her aside with force. "Ah!" Lu Ruian screamed as she fell to the ground, the flowers in her hands scattering everywhere. Her palm was scraped, and her eyes instantly reddened. She looked up at me in disbelief. Chen Boda was also stunned, his arms still outstretched, his entire body frozen in place. But he quickly snapped out of it. His expression shifted from warmth to gloom, a flash of menace glinting behind his gold-rimmed glasses. He strode forward, glaring at me and shouting, "Who are you? How can you treat Ruian like this? I'm her husband. What's wrong with me disciplining my own wife? Do you have a problem with that?" I puffed out my chest, stepped close to him, and looked down at him from above. I was half a head taller than him, and as soon as I stepped forward, he immediately felt the pressure. "Hit me if you dare, idiot." I smirked with a strong hint of provocation. Chen Boda's pupils suddenly contracted. He'd spent many years abroad, carrying a wildness about him, not the kind of tame, honest man you'd expect. He looked at Lu Ruian lying on the ground, then at my punch-worthy expression, and the fury in his chest flared up instantly. I despise men who hit women the most. Gritting his teeth, he swung his fist and punched me square in the face. Bang! The punch wasn't light. It made my head jerk to the side, and a trickle of blood seeped from the corner of my mouth. But I didn't dodge. I took that punch head-on, because this was exactly what I was waiting for. My right leg shot out like a spring. The sharp tip of my hard leather shoe precisely kicked between Chen Boda's legs. Thwack! This kick held back 30% of its force, not delivered with full lethal intent. Otherwise, it would have gone straight in. Chen Boda's eyes instantly widened like brass bells. His mouth gaped open, but no sound came out. His body seemed drained, first stiffening, then slowly curling up. Finally, the man curled up like a shrimp and collapsed to the ground. He finally made a sound, but it no longer sounded like a human voice. His hands clutched tightly at his groin, his whole body convulsing violently. The veins on his forehead bulged one by one, his face turning from white to green, then to purple. The airport arrival hall erupted in chaos. Passengers screamed and scattered. Security guards blew whistles and rushed in. Someone pulled out a phone to call the police. Lu Ruian got up from the ground and saw Chen Boda curled up on the floor, writhing in pain. Her expression shifted from shock to fear, then to utter despair. Boda, Boda. She rushed forward to help Chen Boda, but he was curled up too tightly, and she couldn't lift him at all. Chen Feng, are you crazy? What did you do to him? He started it first, I said calmly, pulling a tissue from my pocket to wipe the blood from the corner of my mouth. Everyone saw it. He punched me. I kicked back. Just once. His fist hit my face. That's intentional assault. My kickback. That's self-defense. Lu Ruian trembled with rage, tears streaming uncontrollably down her face. You're a lunatic. A demon. You're not human. I'm your husband. Woo woo woo. The siren sounded again. I was taken into the police car. Through the car window, I saw Lu Ruian helping Chen Boda onto the ambulance. Chen Boda's legs remained curled up, his face devoid of any color. In the police station interrogation room, the officers pulled up the airport surveillance footage and the recording from the pinhole camera on my chest. The images couldn't have been clearer. Chen Boda launched a punch toward my face. As I stepped back, I was hit, then instinctively kicked his body just once. No pursuit. No finishing blow. No unnecessary movements. Uncle police officer, I'm so miserable. I started again, tears coming without warning, my voice trembling, my whole body shaking. The first time I saw that man, he was about to hit me. Woo woo woo. He said he hated men who hit women the most. And then he started hitting me. I'm so scared. I thought he was gonna beat me to death. I was so scared at the time. I had no idea what I was doing. It was just pure instinct that made me react. Why do they all treat me like this? Why are they all trying to steal my wife? I'm so sad. Woo woo. I was crying so hard that I couldn't catch my breath. My face covered in snot and tears. The police officer across from me glanced at me, then at the surveillance footage showing me kicking someone to the ground, his mouth twitching. But the law didn't care about feelings. It only cared about evidence. The surveillance footage showed that Chen Boda attacked first. My act of self-defense met the legal criteria for justifiable defense. Moreover, this was already my third time at the police station. The previous 2 times were thoroughly investigated, and both were deemed acts of self-defense. So that night, I was released once again. As I walked out of the police station, Lu Ruian was standing at the entrance waiting for me. She had changed her clothes, her eyes red and puffy, clearly having cried. She looked at me, her lips trembling for a long moment before she managed to say a sentence. Chen Boda, he is seriously injured. I lit a cigarette. The doctor said the egg is shattered. From now on, never again. She couldn't continue. Tears falling once more. I exhaled smoke, perfectly calm. That's his own fault. Who told him to hit me? He just punched you. Lu Ruian suddenly screamed, tears streaming down her face. One punch, and you're going to make him lose his descendants. Are you even human? Then your little puppy threw hot porridge at me, and I stabbed him. Do you think that's too much? Lu Ruian's scream came to an abrupt halt. She thought of the already deceased Ito Makoto. Compared to Ito Makoto's tragic state, I had clearly held back today. Lu Ruian, I've told you, the Mad Dog Fist only uses one move. This move might be light, or it might be heavy. Whether the outcome is light or heavy depends on how vicious the opponent's first strike is. You slap me, I slap you back. Fair and square. Your security guard pushed me, so I stabbed him with scissors. Fair's fair. Chen Boda punches me. Kick him back. Fair's fair. His balls got crushed. His fists were just too hard. I was scared. My instincts kicked in too strong. Blame him. Blame himself. Lu Ruian looked at me, trembling all over. Her eyes held hatred, fear, and something I couldn't understand. You've changed. She spoke in a hoarse voice. You are not the Chun Feng I know. I was never the Chun Feng you knew. I extinguished the cigarette butt and turned to walk toward the roadside. Go home, honey. It's getting dark and it's not safe outside. The incident involving Chen Boda caused quite a stir. After all, he was a returnee elite, and being assaulted in a crowded public place like an airport initially drew intense media coverage. But in the end, it didn't make much of a splash. The surveillance footage was there. The law was right there. My actions clearly spelled out the word self-defense. Instead, after Chen Boda's act of initiating violence was exposed, public opinion online overwhelmingly condemned him, saying he deserved it. Is this the quality of someone who's returned from studying abroad? What's it to you how a husband teaches his wife a lesson? Starting a fight and then playing the victim. Lu Ruian's company stock did drop a bit since everyone now knew she had a husband who killed without breaking the law. But I didn't care about stock prices. I only cared about whether it felt good back home. Lu Ruian locked herself in the guest bedroom and wouldn't come out. I didn't bother her either. Sitting alone in the living room reading the criminal law while also mentally reviewing the upcoming plot in the original novel. After Lu Ruian's white moonlight figure, Chen Boda, there were three major male supporting characters. Her childhood friend Su Lianyan, gentle and considerate, completely devoted to Lu Ruian. An ambiguous man, Su Baiyu, president of the City N Group, a domineering CEO falling in love with a divorced young woman, and another one I couldn't quite remember, but also some kind of high-quality man. In the original story, the protagonist was trampled underfoot by these men one by one, ultimately framed and imprisoned, dying a miserable and lonely death. But now the script had been changed. Chun Feng's productions were always top quality. There was only one plot line in my script. Whoever touches me, I'll take them down. Whoever bullies me, I'll destroy them completely. Whoever dares to take my wife, I'll eliminate them both legally and physically. Justifiable self-defense, counterattack and self-protection with just one move. Each punch meant to be decisive. Not long after, the fourth male supporting character made his entrance. Su Lianyan, Lu Ruian's childhood sweetheart. They grew up together, their families being old friends for generations. A financial prodigy, gentle as jade, speaking softly and treating Lu Ruian with an almost outrageous kindness. In the original story, Su Lianyan was the gentlest of all, never confronting the protagonist directly. He simply stayed by Lu Ruian's side, quietly shining and radiating warmth, illuminating her gloomy life. TSK. This kind of person was the most disgusting. He didn't hit you or scold you. He just disgusted you from the side every now and then, saying things like, "Ruian, you've lost weight," or, "Ruian, how have you been lately?" Enough to make one sick. The day Su Lianyan came to Lu Ruian's company, I happened to be there too. I was there to sign the quarterly report. After all, I held the title of investment advisor. As soon as I entered the company gate, I saw Su Lianyan sitting in Lu Ruian's office, the two of them drinking coffee and chatting happily. Lu Ruian's smile was sweet, a sweetness I had never seen before. Su Lianyan was wearing a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up to his forearms, a discreet watch on his wrist, looking so polished it was as if he had just stepped out of a magazine. His gaze at Lu Ruian was so tender it could melt hearts. I stood at the door and watched for 3 seconds. Then I smiled. Su Lianyan saw me first. He stood up and nodded at me with a smile. "Brother Qin Feng." "Hello, I'm Su Lianyan, a friend of Ruian's." So polite, so gentlemanly, so disgusting. Lu Ruian's face instantly turned cold, as if she had changed into a different person. "What are you doing here?" "Sign the quarterly report." I shook the document in my hand, then looked at Su Lianyan. "Su Lianyan, right? I heard you grew up with Ruian." "Yes." Su Lianyan smiled. "Our families are old friends." "Then do you know she's married?" Su Lianyan's smile froze for a moment. "Of course I know." "Good. Then you know." I walked into the office and plopped down on the chair next to Lu Ruian, crossing my legs. "You two are having such a happy conversation right in front of me. Isn't that a bit inappropriate?" Lu Ruian's expression grew even darker. "Qin Feng, stop making unreasonable demands. Su Lianyan is here to discuss serious matters." "What serious matters?" "This is our company's internal matter. None of your business." "Can't investment advisors know about the company's internal affairs?" I tilted my head to look at her. "Lu Ruian, are you thinking about splitting the family?" Lu Ruian's lips trembled slightly, and she fell silent. Su Lianyan sighed softly, stood up, and picked up his briefcase. "Ruian, I'll be going then. Let's talk another time. Don't rush off." I stood up and blocked his way. "Mr. Su, let me see you off." Su Lianyan tried to maintain his composure and said with a faint smile, "All right, thank you, Brother Qin Feng." The two of us walked out of the office together and stepped into the elevator. There were only the two of us in the elevator. The moment the door closed, I put away my smile and stared coldly at Su Lianyan. "Su Lianyan, I don't care what your relationship with Lu Ruyan was in the past. She's married now. She's my wife. If you get close to her again, I'll break your legs." Su Lianyan's expression didn't change at all, still maintaining that gentle and refined demeanor. "Brother Qin Feng, you've misunderstood. Ruyan and I are just friends." "Friend?" I smiled, grabbing his collar and pushing him against the elevator wall. "Su Lianyan, do you think I'm stupid? You've liked her for over 10 years since childhood. Do you think I can't see that?" Su Lianyan's face changed. A flash of panic crossed his eyes, but he quickly regained his composure. "Brother Qin Feng, let me go." "No, you hit me if you dare." I leaned in close to his face, smiling provocatively. "You hit me once. I hit you back once. Fair enough." Su Lianyan clenched his fists, veins bulging, but he didn't take action. He didn't. This man was smarter than Chen Boda. He held back. I released his collar and patted his face. Not hard, but with maximum insult. "Coward." The elevator door opened. Su Lianyan walked out quickly without even turning his head. But I knew he hadn't given up. Being family friends, our two households often interacted. Su Lianyan would always find a chance to get close to Lu Ruyan. Sure enough, a week later, the two families gathered together. Lu Ruyan's parents and Su Lianyan's parents were having a meal at a hotel, and they invited Lu Ruyan and Su Lianyan to join them. As the son-in-law, of course, I had to go. As soon as I arrived at the hotel, I saw Su Lianyan sitting beside Lu Ruyan. The two of them were chatting and laughing. Lu Ruyan's parents were also smiling, looking at Su Lianyan as if he were their son-in-law. While they barely acknowledged me, the original owner's marriage had never been approved by the Lu family. Lu's parents believed Qin Feng was not good enough for their daughter. Now, seeing Su Lianyan, they felt even more certain that he was the ideal son-in-law candidate. I sat down, said nothing, and slowly ate. Su Lianyan served food to Lu Ruyan. Lu Ruyan smiled and thanked him. Su's father clinked glasses with Lu's father, saying the two children had been destined for each other since childhood. Mother Lu held Lu Ruyan's hand, saying how perfectly matched she and Su Lianyan looked together. The atmosphere at the dinner table was lively and warm. I was just an invisible presence. No, not even that. Invisible people at least don't get in the way. I sat there, and everyone was trying hard to ignore my presence. I ate my meal, counting each grain of rice one by one. It wasn't until Su Lianyan once again served food to Lu Ruyan that I spoke up. "Su Lianyan, do you think I won't hit you?" The laughter at the dinner table came to an abrupt halt. Everyone turned to look at me in unison. Su Lianyan's chopsticks froze mid-air, his smile stiffening on his face. Lu Ruyan's face turned ashen. "Qin Feng, shut up. Why should I?" I put down my chopsticks and leaned back in my chair, my gaze sweeping over everyone present. My wife is sitting here with a man who has feelings for her. Sitting beside her. This man is serving her food right in front of me, while her parents sit nearby saying they make a perfect match. "Excuse me, why should I keep quiet?" Lu Ruyan's father's face darkened. "Qin Feng, what are you doing? Is this a place for you to cause trouble in public?" "I'm causing trouble." I laughed. "I was just asking." "Su Lianyan, if you're picking up food, just pick up the food. What's with the way you're looking at Lu Ruyan? Is that how you look at a friend?" Su Lianyan's expression finally changed. He set down his chopsticks and spoke softly. "Brother Qin Feng, you've misunderstood. I'm not mistaken." I stood up, walked around half the table, and stopped in front of Su Lianyan. "Su Lianyan, I'm telling you for the last time, Lu Ruyan is my wife. If you get close to her again, serve her food again, or look at her with that kind of gaze again, I'll ruin you." Su Lianyan clenched his fists. His father stood up. "Young man, watch your tone. We're talking about propriety here." I looked at Su Lianyan. "You disagree." Su Lianyan's chest rose and fell violently, his fists clenching and unclenching, unclenching and clenching again. He was holding it in. desperately holding back. But everyone has their limits, especially in front of his parents. In front of Lu Ruian, being humiliated by me, Su Lianyan finally couldn't hold back anymore. He slammed the table and stood up. Chen Feng, don't go too far. Am I going too far? I laughed. Am I going too far by defending my marriage? Is that what you call defending a marriage? You're going crazy. So what if I'm going crazy? I tilted my head and looked at him. Is going crazy against the law? Su Lianyan's eyes turned red, and he suddenly shoved me, just once, right in the chest. I took half a step back, looked at him, and smiled. You pushed me. He didn't get a chance to speak. Crack. The sound of a broken nasal bone once again. Su Lianyan's nosebleed erupted, and he fell backward, the chair overturning. He fell to the ground, his face covered in blood. Chen Feng. Lu Ruian screamed and rushed forward. Are you crazy? Su Lianyan's parents rushed over to support him, while Mr. and Mrs. Lu's faces turned as pale as paper. He pushed me first, I said calmly, pulling a tissue from my pocket to wipe my fist. Shoving is an act of violence. I fought back with a punch. It was self-defense. Everyone saw it. The hotel manager rushed in with security guards and turned pale at the sight of blood all over the floor. Call the police. Mrs. Lu shrieked. Call the police now. Arrest this lunatic. Go ahead. I shrugged. If you call them, I'll hand over the surveillance footage to the police. Let's see who threw the first punch. Mrs. Lu's screams abruptly stopped. Su Lianyan covered his face. As he got up from the ground, his nose bridge crooked and his face covered in blood. The look he gave me was full of resentment and humiliation. But he couldn't utter a single word because he knew he was the one who pushed me first. Lu Ruian helped him walk out, and as they passed by me, her voice was as cold as ice. You'll regret this. Chen Feng, you've said that many times. Can't you come up with something new? Lu Ruian left, gritting her teeth. Only Lu's parents and I remained in the hotel. Father Lu looked at me, trembling with anger. You, Dad, I said to him calmly. I'm your son-in-law. When your daughter was being harassed, instead of standing up for me, you sided with an outsider. Do you think that was right? Father Lu's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. I'll leave first. I've paid the bill. Please enjoy your meal. I picked up my coat and walked out of the hotel. The night breeze brushed against my face, chilly and crisp. I took a deep breath, and the corners of my mouth slowly curled upward. Another one down. Su Lianyan suffered a nasal fracture and spent half a month hospitalized. His parents were furious and wanted to sue me, but the surveillance footage clearly showed that Su Lianyan was the one who pushed me first. I only retaliated with one punch. It was clearly self-defense. Lu Ruian didn't come home for several days. If she wouldn't come home, then I'd go to her company to find her. I sat on the sofa outside her office doing nothing but watching her. Lu Ruian couldn't take it anymore and finally went home. Chen Feng, what exactly do you want? Back home. Lu Ruian asked me in a very soft voice. What do I want? I looked at her and smiled. I want you to know who the man you married is. You are my husband. Yes, I am your husband. I reached out, pinched her chin, and forced her to look into my eyes. Remember this. You are Chun Feng's woman. Whoever touches you, I'll deal with them. Whoever bullies you, I'll make sure they regret it. Lu Ruian's eyes turned red, and tears silently slid down her cheeks. From that day on, things began to change. Lu Ruian stopped running out, stopped flirting with other men. She came home on time every day, cooking and washing clothes for me, though she wasn't very good at it. She was trying her best. Qian Boda went abroad and never returned. Su Lianyan moved away, reportedly to another city. Later, a playboy named Su Baiyu tried to get close to Lu Ruian, but before they could even start flirting, I intercepted them in the garage. I smashed his car's windshield right in front of them. If I catch you harassing Lu Ruian again, it won't be the glass I smash. It'll be your face. Su Baiyu didn't dare to call the police or contact Lu Ruian again. From then on, the entire Jiangqing knew Lu Ruian had a husband who could beat people without breaking the law. No, it was the husband who kills without shedding blood. No, to be more precise, Lu Ruian's husband was a madman. Anyone who dared to touch Lu Ruyan would be beaten to death by him. And he wouldn't even break the law doing it. The reason was simple. It was always the other side who struck first. Lu Ruyan became notorious as the office jinx. Men had to stand 3 meters away when talking to her, afraid of being accidentally injured by my mad dog punch. Her company's performance, however, was booming because no one dared to compete with her for clients. Whoever dared to take them, I go talk to them. Under my relentless efforts, Lu Ruyan gradually began to change. She no longer treated me coldly. She started listening to me, began caring about me, and started to care about my feelings. I didn't know if this counted as Stockholm Syndrome, but I didn't care. All I knew was that this woman had finally understood one thing. The man she married was someone not to be messed with. 2 years later, Lu Ruyan gave birth to a pair of twins, a boy and a girl. The older one was a son, the younger a daughter, both resembling her, incredibly beautiful. I held the son, she held the daughter, and the 4 of us sat together on the living room sofa. Sunlight streaming in through the window, warm and cozy. Lu Ruyan leaned on my shoulder and said softly, "Chen Feng, do you think our son will grow up to be like you in the future? What's wrong with being like me?" I laughed. Be like me. It's better. No one loses when you're the one hitting people. That's called self-defense. I corrected her. Mad dog fist. Self-defense counterattack. Just one move. Every move justified. Lu Ruyan rolled her eyes at me, but the corners of her mouth curled upward. How did I end up marrying a madman like you back then? You didn't marry a madman. You married someone who knows how to protect you. Lu Ruyan didn't speak, leaning in even closer. As I looked at the pair of children in my arms, a sudden thought flashed through my mind. When they grow up, I must teach them the mad dog fist. The mad dog fist. Never throw the first punch, but if hit, you must strike back, and strike back until the other fears you. Criminal law should be taught from elementary school, so children learn early how to hit someone without breaking the law. I shared this idea with Lu Ruyan. Lu Ruyan slapped my shoulder. But not hard. How dare you? How dare you teach them that? Why not dare? I laughed. This set of skills is for saving lives. It works. Lu Ruyan wanted to say something more, but our conversation was interrupted by our son's sudden crying. She hurriedly went to soothe him, muttering under her breath, "Just like your father." Watching her bustling around the living room, the corners of my mouth slowly curled up. 2 years ago, Lu Ruyan was an aloof and frosty female CEO who kept everyone at arm's length. She slapped me, flirted with a young puppy, and turned against me for her white moonlight. Now, Lu Ruyan was just an ordinary mom overwhelmed by 2 kids. Her face showed a happy exhaustion, her hands smeared with baby formula, murmuring about daily chores. Her gaze had changed, no longer that aloof coldness from before, but a gentle warmth that felt comforting to see. A man is the sky over this household. If the sky falls, I'll hold it up. Anyone who dares to touch this family will get a taste of my mad dog punches.